Exercise 24 deals with the physiology of the urinary system. Remember the urinary system, you're talking about the kidneys where you are filtering blood and producing that urine. The ureter is going to transport the urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder where it's going to be stored, and then it's released from the body in the urethra. In terms of the physiology, looking at urinalysis, which is the study of the urine, analyzing it, determining what's in it, whether it's quote unquote normal or are there abnormal things in there which can indicate uh, problems within the body, etc. So in terms of some of the physical characteristics of urine, it is going to be influenced by things such as what nutrients are you taking in, what's the temperature, how much exercise are you doing, how much water have you been taking in. The normal volume of urine, the amount that's produced per day, is on average 1 to 2 liters per day. The pH varies widely. It's anywhere from under normal conditions, pH 4.5 to pH 8. And like I said earlier, your nutrient intake, what you're eating, can influence that. If you eat a lot of meat, it tends to lower the pH. If you eat a lot of dairy products, a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits, that often raises the pH. A healthy individual should have very low, if any, protein and no leukocytes in urine. So when you are looking at samples to receive in the lab, urine sample, you notice different characteristics about it. Number one, you're going to notice the color. Is it a pale yellow? Is it a deeper yellow? Typically, if a person is dehydrated, the urine tends to be more concentrated in a darker color. If you have basically a lot of urine production, it tends to, the color of it is kind of diluted out, so it's paler in color. Under normal conditions, it should be odorless. I just talked about the amount of the volume and the pH. Specific gravity is something that we measure in the lab. There should be no leukocytes in there, the white blood cells, remember. There should be no protein in there. There should be no ketones. There should be no blood, and there shouldn't be glucose in there, or very low glucose. So in terms of the color, this is a very good diagram showing the range of color. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're dehydrated, what's happening is the body's trying to keep as much water in, and so in the reabsorption step, it's pulling more water back in and pulling it out of that urine that it's producing, and so the color gets more concentrated in there. So very dark colored urine can give you a clue. I'd be asking how much fluid intake your patient has. This just shows, once again, the normal production of volume for a normal healthy adult is 1 to 2 liters per day. If you're producing more than that, it's polyuria, and there could be several different causes of it. Diabetes mellitus, diabetes insipidus, maybe you have excess caffeine or alcohol. Both caffeine and alcohol do inhibit the antidiuretic hormone, and so that would trigger more increased production of urine. There could be just excessive water intake. You could be on medication that acts as a diuretic, which is going to increase the amount of urine production. If you have between 300 to 500 milliliters per day, that's oliguria, and that's an indication of dehydration. Maybe there's kidney disease going on, etc. Very, very little urine output, minimal output. You're going to be wanting to look at is there a kidney stone, something that is preventing the urine from traveling from the kidney down to the ureter? Is for males, is there an enlarged prostate? That's the prostate gland surrounds the ureter as it's leaving the bladder, and so that could inhibit the release of the urine. So you're going to want to be looking at some of those different possibilities to rule out what's going on. Breakdown of proteins usually results with your nitrogen waste products, mostly going to be urea, maybe a little bit of ammonia. Water-soluble drugs will be secreted in the urine, so that's why you can do urine testing, drug testing. If there's larger proteins, larger drug molecules in the urine, you might want to be looking at the glomulus. It normally should not allow this to be filtered, so is there a problem at that point in time? There is a lab that kind of goes with this PowerPoint of a urinalysis testing of where we do have some descriptions of patients, some of the test results for you to look at, as well as a file with pictures of synthetic urine samples and the little dipsticks in it for you to interpret those results so that you can just have some practice in interpreting the results and trying to figure out, then also taking it a step further. I wonder what's going on here with this patient. So use this PowerPoint, the explanation here, along with the other files that contain the pictures.